like we'll go ahead and get started. I see some folks still working at getting connected. We want to welcome everybody to our webcast. This is the second one that we've done in a series. So if you haven't attended the first one, we can certainly get you a link where you can watch that. This session today is going to kind of take off where we left off last week. Sarah is with us today. She'll be stepping us through some of the elements in connecting and working hand in hand with Tribal Platforms Enrollment with Office products. So it is provides a real nice integration. Just some rules or some foundation to using the GoToWebinar. We want to highlight that as we go through this webcast, we definitely would love to interact with you. If you want to ask any questions and talk to Sarah directly, you can raise your hand. You'll see that little icon there on your control panel where you can raise your hand, and that way we'll unmute you and you can ask your question and have some dialogue. If you'd like to just chat, we will have some people answering your questions in the chat box. Go ahead and write in a question in there as we go along. In addition, we do have some handouts. So if you want to pull up and download those handouts, you should see those in your handout section as well. Okay. So with that, I will go ahead and turn this over to Sarah, and she's going to take us through Tribal Platforms Enrollment in working with some of the Office products.
All right, thank you very much, Lynn. And first of all, thank you everyone for attending. And I know Lynn and Mary and everyone else will let me know if you can't hear my audio. But as Lynn mentioned, my name is Sarah Jelinek. I'm a technology evangelist here at Arctic IT, and it is my privilege to take a small portion of your day to show you some of the capabilities Tribal Platforms Enrollment has with integrating with Microsoft Office. For those of you who might not be familiar with Tribal Platforms Enrollment, might just be getting kind of an introduction to it. This solution is built on Microsoft Dynamics 365. It's a great way for us to manage our member records, as they go through perhaps the enrollment process, giving us the capability to search and look for records accordingly, being able to do reporting and analytics on our core information, the keys to how we manage our membership and understanding our membership base. And I'm going to be focusing on not so much as how you work with enrolled members and go through that process and some of the demographic information that we store, but more of some of the tasks that you'd perform with a tribal member or regarding a tribal member, and especially focusing on the Microsoft Office integration that we have that's built in part of Tribal Platforms Enrollment. So as we go through, there's basically 4 technologies. I'm gonna kind of give a highlight of how it works in enrollment today, and that's going to be, first of all, talking about working with Excel. We're all very proficient at Excel. If we've ever had to manage a list of records, being able to manipulate data and find information there. So we'll talk a little bit about that integration with Excel, and then I want to talk about Sharepoint and having the capability to utilize Tribal Platforms Enrollment, not just to store your membership data, but perhaps to store scanned records or other documents that might be appropriate that you want to make available to other people to see within your organization. So they don't have to go find a file folder or dig in some file cabinet to find that information or find something on a shared network drive. We'll show you how the close connectivity with Sharepoint will make it a lot easier for your enrollment users to find information. Then I want to talk about one of my favorite features that I would love to use all the time if I can, and that is going to be working with Word. And how we can extend the information that we've gathered about a tribal member to bring that into the system and take that information out and put that out in the letter and be able to share that with appropriate members. And then I want to talk about Outlook. We've shown some of that demonstration in previous sessions, but I think it's a real key feature for you. So as we go through, just want to confirm, Lynn or Mary, if you guys can confirm that you're able to see my screen right now.
I sure am.
Excellent.
Yes.
And just to make it a little bit easier for you, I think I'll zoom in a little bit so it's a little bit easier for you to see some of the printing or the writing on there. Thank you very much. All right, so first let's talk about Microsoft Excel. A lot of organizations that don't have a formal enrollment system will try to manage their membership information in Excel or maybe Access or some other type of database. Well, in Tribal Platforms Enrollment, we have all your membership information listed here. So at any time, if I'm looking at the system, and let's say I wanted to look at a list of my contacts, these are my tribal members. These are also other contacts that might be household members, family members, friends, coworkers, whoever we might want to keep track of to help understand the relationships with our members, like emergency contacts and so forth. I've got a lot of great information in here. Now, we have it stored in this system, Dynamics 365, but many times you might be asked for reports. Like I'd like a list of our tribal members that are living, or maybe I want a list of all the contacts that we have in the system. Tribal Platforms Enrollment gives me that capability to switch between different lists of records, or as we've demonstrated in the past, you can actually go in and create your own personal lists if you want to, looking for those that maybe meet specific criteria. But whichever list I happen to go through, I'll go back to my one that I had here, members of the tribe living. You'll see that there's a capability for us to integrate with Excel. And one of those features is to be able to export my information. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, oh, export might be kind of a sensitive tool to have in terms of who should get to export this information, because we understand there's a lot of personal identifiable information. There's a lot of secure information you might not want to have people have access to. But for those that you do want to give that level of permission of being able to export data, you can simply turn this feature on and off. So you'll see that there's a button here called Export to Excel. We can control that through security. I'm logged in as an administrator right now, so I kind of have a lot of power in the system, and I'm not really restricted. So I'll show you what this process looks like. Now, in this example, I'm looking at my list of members of the tribe living. And what I can do is I can export this information to Excel. Now, I'm going to have a drop-down arrow here that lets me choose which ones I want to do. So, for example, if someone just says, I'd like a list of the tribal members, that's all I need, you can choose to do a static worksheet. This will take all the records that you have right within this list, export this information to Excel, and then when I open up this worksheet, it's going to give me a really nice formatted worksheet in my Excel workbook that is already formatted as a table. So if I wanted to do any type of filtering on this, if I want to do any type of sorting, I have all that information right here. So you can use these out-of-the-box views that we have built for you. You can use this information, export that, and be able to see the information accordingly. So if I wanted to perhaps sort by their age, I can sort smallest to largest. I can do this all in Excel. I can manipulate this data any way I want to. And just know that at this point, it's not connected to my Dynamics 365. It's not connected to my enrollment system. So if I go in and decide to change someone's age, it's not going to go back and disrupt the data. We're only letting them export this information. But it's a great way for you to share this without having to give someone a license or give them access to the system. More importantly, you can control the fields that people are going to be seeing here as well, based on what happens to be in that list. So a great way for me to be able to share that information very quickly in a report format without having to do any customization. It's available like that right out of the box. Now, I'm going to talk about another feature that we have, and that is the capability to export to Excel Online. Now, one of the things that we do is part of tribal enrollment is that we help manage membership status. We manage their enrollment process. Are they pending? Are they members that have been accepted as a member? Did they relinquish? Did something happen where they're no longer a member? So we have these different statuses that we can help manage. And we do this through a record called our member profile. Now, if I have a resolution, let's say that allows 20 tribal members to come in, and we've just approved them as members, that I want to update their information quickly, I can do that within the system. I can go to these member records, and I can take a look at a view that we might have here, members of the tribe pending, looking at all my members that are pending. And I can go through and I can open up every one of these individual records if I want to. But really, I just want to change all of these that are pending. I want to change them back to, to that they're a member. So one of the things that we have with the integration to Office is that you're used to doing a lot of these bulk actions within Excel. Here, I can actually click this Export to Excel, and I can choose the option to open this in Excel Online. Now, again, this is a feature that we can enable for certain users if we want to. Everything looks good here, so I can just simply close that. Just a little message telling me how this functionality works. And you can control who has the capability to do this. But what's helpful here is I see my listing of my members, and let's say I wanted to change maybe 2 or 3 of the members from pending to change that to that they're actually members. So in my example here, I have baby Penny. I want to set that she's a member. And then let's say, for example, Catherine Myers. I also want to specify that she's a member. These other 3 are not, but let's say I had a list of 20, I could make this process even easier. And I can go through and I can update this information, just kind of like I would right on the page, but I'm doing this right within Microsoft Excel Online. Now, depending upon the version of Dynamics 365 that you use, for example, I happen to be using this online. I'm going to be able to have the capability to integrate with Excel Online. Now, I've made my changes. I have the capability to send these changes back to Dynamics 365. Yep, one second. Go ahead, Lynn.
Yep. Yes, I do have Audrey that wants to ask a question.
Okay.
Can you stop real quick? Okay. Go ahead, Audrey. Do you have a question, Audrey?
Can you hear me?
I can.
Yes,
Oh, so this is, just to clarify, you keep saying tribal members, so you can do shareholder records for native corporations, which are shareholders, not members.
Oh, yeah, so that's a great question. So I'm using the term tribal members, but you do have the capability to use this for managing shareholders. So I guess I'm using just a generic term.
I have a deceased shareholder that's a shareholder, but I want to put him in pending status until his file is transferred to his heirs. Is this where you would do this in this page too?
You might not do it here. You can do it in multiple places. What I'm showing here is the capability for you to do a bulk update of records. So if you have someone that's applying, you're probably going to go through a very detailed process of moving that shareholder, when you're from their different statuses of pending and so forth. So you could do that into the individual record, and that's something that we can customize and work with you on. But this is just showing the capability how I can do this in Excel for more than one record at a time if I wanted.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, great question. All right, so now I've got my members here. I've specified their status, and what I can do now is I can save these changes that I've just made to Dynamics 365. Now, what'll happen is it's going to go and take that information and update those records. So it's a little bit of an import process that happens of those changes I've made. I'll hit close, and eventually it just takes anywhere from 5 seconds to maybe a minute for some of those processes to get kicked off. And eventually what'll happen is that baby Penny and Catherine Myers, their records here will get updated. And then they'll no longer show in this list because their membership status should no longer be pending. So in this example, you might not see it immediately, but that process will kick off and happen in the background. We can come back to this in a moment. So as we're going through this, one of the things that we talk about is helping maintain some of our member records, whether it's a tribal member or whether it's a shareholder. You would have the capability to utilize Microsoft Office just like we have here. And there we go. We can see that those 2 are no longer pending, so they're no longer in this view. Now, as I'm working with some of my tribal members and shareholders, I get some important documentation about them. For example, when we talk about a member profile or shareholder profile, depending upon your terminology, we talk about tracking their tribal lineage, figuring out their blood quantum, doing automatic blood quantum calculations. There's some information that is pretty sensitive that we want to be able to still record that information about them, but maybe be able to control who gets to see that. So one of the other pieces of integration we have with Tribal Platforms Enrollment is the capability to integrate with Sharepoint. So for example, I'm going to navigate to Julia Myers. She is one of our members or shareholders, depending upon your term, in the system. And with Julia, when we look at her member profile information, this is a record that we have a security built into it, meaning that we don't let everybody in the organization see this, really just our enrollment people that are managing this information. And there's a lot of details on here. For example, her blood quantum, we can see her tribal lineage with the blood quantum details. And let's say as an example of the information that maybe we've been provided by Julia is we have a document. Maybe it's a document showing her family tree, or an application that she filled out to become a member, any type of document or file that we have. Well, with our integration with SharePoint, in my profile record, I'm going to have the capability to navigate up at the top here. I can look at some common records that we have associated with this record, and I'm going to go to Documents. What I'll have the capability to do here is I can actually upload documents. So if you think about it, it's like putting this file in a shared folder on a computer. It's like putting this information in in a file folder in a filing cabinet that really anyone that has access to that cabinet can go to. Here I'm doing the same thing, but it's doing it electronically. Now, if I wanted to, I can click Upload, and I'm going to go find that file. I've got a test Word document here that I'm just going to upload for Julia, and I'll click OK. And now this document is available for not just myself to view in the future, but anyone that has access to this record would be able to go out here, open up this Word document at any time if they have permissions to, and get to see this information right here. So this could be a scanned document, an application file document that they signed. It might be their tribal ID card, a copy of that, or a copy of their CDIB, whatever information that we need to have available here. We can eventually turn the system into a system of record with that integration with SharePoint. The benefit of using that is that if I want someone else in the organization to see this that doesn't have access to CRM, we can just simply give them access to this location in SharePoint, and we can control very discreetly of who gets to see that appropriate information. I can upload multiple files here if I wanted to. Let me go ahead and grab another one. Just a template that I will show you in just a few moments here. I can select that, and I can add multiple documents. And of course, however I name them, obviously is appropriate for my users to see that. So a great way for you to be able to share that information internally. Now, another topic I wanted to talk about briefly is Microsoft Word. That's an application we're very familiar with. Many times you need to print out a letter. You may be verifying membership status. If you're working with shareholder management, as an example, you might need to generate a certificate of shares. You might need to generate a letter letting them know their membership status, of that it's been approved, or just verification. There's all sorts of documents and letters that you might have to generate on a regular basis. And a lot of you will probably just open up Microsoft Word when you happen to be working with a member, and you'll just probably type in that information manually. In Tribal Platforms Enrollment, we have that integration with Word in an area we call a Word template. So I'm going to take you to this area. It's called a document template. And you can actually create these for different types of records. And I've created one for my member profile. I call it my member status verification. And if you're very familiar with, kind of creating a form letter in a Word, it's a very simple process to do this. Let me show you an example of that member profile letter that I've kind of generated using this Word template. I'm going to go back to Julia's record here. And we're going to see that there's a lot of different commands available for us on the command bar. I'm going to go to one specifically called Word Templates. And I'm going to have a letter here, or a Word template called Member Status Verification. Now, what this does is this actually takes my membership information I have here about Julia. I've got some fields I want to pull into that template, and it's going to put this into a Word document for me. Now, don't get angry at me. I'm not very fancy with my formatting in Word, but I just wanted to show you the basics that we have here. I can create a letter. I can have letterhead. I can have any type of image on there. Whatever I want to, I can use that kind of as a starting point. And as I go through and I create this Word document, I can then insert different fields. Like, for example, I've got today's date listed in here, and I've got Dear Julia Myers. So I'm doing her first name and her last name. Thank you for your inquiry. We received your request for membership status verification. Now, all this information right here, her first name and last name, this is all pulling from that member profile record. So I can create a document one time, put my letterhead on there, put any other appropriate information. I've got some legal language I want to make sure is in there every time. I can put all that information in here, and I can just simply add these appropriate fields. The process is very simple. You just find the field that you want, you insert that wherever you want to in the document, and then we'll let CRM or Dynamics 365, Tribal Platforms Enrollment, do the rest. So now I've got this information. I can do a save on this. It's actually already saved for me. Let me just save this to another location. We'll just save this to my OneDrive, to my documents, and to my test folder. So we've seen that folder here. I'll go ahead and save that information. And then when I go back to Julia's record, I might have signed that letter. I might have scanned that. I can then go back to my documents area. And then I can actually upload that letter that we had generated. So here's that member status verification that I just did. Oops, I'm sorry, I actually have that open. Should probably close that. And we'll try that again. So now I've got that letter uploaded. I can see it's a date and timestamp of today's date and today's time. I can simply click on that document. It's going to open it up in a Word Online, and I can actually see what we sent. If it's a PDF file, an Excel file, whatever you want to upload here. But we want to take that manual process off your list of having to manually generate a letter every time. We want to be able to kind of give you the capability to put your own template in there and be able to insert that member information, save you some time from having to manually type that and change it every time. We can grab any field that's on these member records or these member profile records, or really any record, and let you be able to generate a letter based on that. So the one final thing I want to show you as part of our demonstration is a feature that we show in almost every one of our demonstrations of Tribal Platforms Enrollment. It is a very powerful feature, and that is the integration with Microsoft Office Outlook. So in Dynamics 365, I'm going to have the capability in Tribal Platforms Enrollment to work with a member record. For example, one I always usually work with is Joshua Reed. When I'm working on his record, I might need to communicate with him directly. If he's got an email address on file, I might want to be able to email him and communicate with him. I can do that right within the system. I can actually go through and I can choose in my contact record to create an email activity. And I can send him a message and let him know that we received your address change request. All right, and I can put the same thing in here just for time purposes. You won't have to watch me compose an entire email, but I can put that information and say it has been processed. Let me know if you have any questions. All right, so I can send this right to Josh. So at this point, type in my information. You can utilize templates if you want to. If there's a standard communication you send via email, we have the capability to insert an email template if we want to. We can create that capability easily within the system. But I just want to send him this message. Now, when I get to send these emails, the great thing is that I can do this right within Tribal Platforms Enrollment. And now if someone else were to come along and look at Joshua's record, and Joshua's going to say, hey, I did not receive notification that you changed my address. Can you check if that's been done? I can look at his record here. I can look at notes and activities. But here I can actually see the email that my enrollment person had sent to him. And I can actually expand on this message. And I can see, we received your address change request. It's been processed. We sent this to you. They can click on that email if they want to and look at the details of when that was sent. But more importantly, we're kind of building that 360-degree view right here of our tribal member, being able to track those activities. But we know that communication doesn't just happen in Tribal Platforms Enrollment. It also happens when you are working within your Outlook client. So in this example, I'm going to send an email to somebody else within the organization. I can compose a new message. And maybe I'm emailing, one of my coworkers that I have here. I'm going to email Matt Burkowski, one of my teammates. And I want to let him know that, maybe we changed Joshua's address or Joshua contacted us about a new address change. I want to make him aware of that. So I can actually compose a message here. and just say that we updated his address. And then as I'm going through this message, I'm going to see there's a little icon here. It's got a Dynamics 365 logo on it. And what this allows me to do is I can take this and I can actually track this on Joshua's record. I might not be communicating directly with Joshua, but I'm communicating regarding Joshua. It's pertaining to something regarding him. So I can select his contact information here. Everything looks good. And then I can just go ahead and send my message. Now, obviously, I'm still using my Outlook client. I can still have my email signature on there. I can do this from the actual Outlook client itself. I know we're doing it through web access. And I can send that message to Matt. But more importantly, what will eventually happen is I come back here, when I come to my activities, I'm actually going to see that message show up in this list. So it's going to show that detail here. Now I can actually hear that Matt got it via his email, but usually within about 5 minutes, I should see that activity appear here. So that important communication, going beyond that single text field, providing that those details going back and forth, we're going to have that capability right within Tribal Platforms Enrollment to achieve that. So those are some of the basic areas of Microsoft Office 365 or Microsoft Office that are just simply built in to Tribal Platforms Enrollment. You don't need to buy anything separate. It's part of the solution. And it's going to help empower your users to work smarter, not harder, when it comes to help maintaining your member or your shareholder database. So at this point, Lynne, I'm just going to hand it back over to you to see if you've got any closing points or any other items that you wish us to cover or any questions that you'd like me to answer.
That's great, Sarah. Thank you. I know a lot of you folks that are on haven't seen the first session, so we definitely can work with you on kind of setting that foundation. But really, again, this is kind of taking it from the tribal enrollment solution demo and highlighting all those integration points. So thank you, Sarah. That was great. I don't have, oh, it looks like, I know Sarah has to be getting off here in just a few minutes, so we would like to open it up to see if anybody has any further questions. I do see one here from Audrey. Thank you for your feedback, Audrey. Looks like you would like to get a webcast,
Team,
and we'll get that started.
I'm going to go ahead and unmute everyone so we can open the floor up for question and answer session.
Hi, this is Audrey George. So you were just doing how to run certain reports. So for annual meetings, we have to print a list of our annual reports or our shareholder records, and then find out who are voting eligible and who are non-voting and who are deceased. So I could pull that kind of voting list and sort it that way.
Yeah, this is Sarah. I kind of got the question there. And Audrey, you can tell me if I'm wrong on this one, but the question was, you have a member, you might have a shareholder list that you need to print out to show people that are voting or not voting. Will you have the capability to take that information and be able to sort on that? And the answer is yes. So you can take that. We can actually create a view for you to say, show me those that are voting, and then have a list to say those that are not, and have the capability just to export that. And you don't have to complete another step. We could just simply one-click export that information for you.
Does that answer your question, Audrey?
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay. Is there any other questions for this session?
Is this desktop only, or is this on the cloud only?
It's a great question. So is this software available on what we call it on premises, or if it's cloud only? You would have the capability to utilize either one. We know a lot of organizations want to maintain that information locally, so we could actually deploy this to your own servers. That would be infrastructure that you guys would manage, and or whoever you work with to manage that. We could deploy that, on premises, or you'd have the capability to, if it's cloud-based, to be able to access that really from anywhere. You don't have it managed. You're letting Microsoft manage the database, manage the performance, manage the servers and everything for you. So you do have either option to have it local or available on the cloud.
I'm having some trouble just trying to unmute folks, so bear with me here for a moment.
Unmuted.
All right, so I do see a question about if we have it on site, would then security be our responsibility? No, we would work with you on configuring who would have access to different pieces of information within the system. And that's something that we provide guidance on.
Great. Are there any other questions for today? With that, we'll say thank you to everyone for joining and have a great day. And please reach out to us. You can see the contact information on the last screen, and we'll be sending up follow-up information as well to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for your time. Have a wonderful day.